A rock legend who raced at Le Mans, crashed a $20 million McLaren, and owns the Ferrari that went up in flames on a Hollywood set? Nick Mason, the drummer of Pink Floyd, is the maniac behind one of the wildest car collections on Earth. But unlike most collectors, Mason's cars aren't rotting away in some garage. They're out there dominating tracks, and he couldn't care less about their value. Stick around, because by the end, you'll hear how he made a historic McLaren street legal and then smashed it into a wall. 1935, Aston Martin Ulster. Forget the iconic DB5. It was the Aston Martin Ulster that truly put the brand on the map before WD-40. Long before Aston Martin became Bond's favorite, it was this tiny 1.5-litre beast that made the brand famous on racetracks like Le Mans and Mille Miglia. It has no air conditioning and no smooth seats. And guess what? Only 21 Ulsters were ever built. 7 of them were special factory race cars, and Mason owns 2 of those. His daughter Chloe owns the 3rd. Yes, the Masons have 3 of the world's rarest Ulsters: LM17, LM18, and LM21. They've owned them since 1973. This car may only push 86 horsepower, but it can still go over 100 miles per hour. It even has the throttle in the middle and a reversed gear layout. Back in 2019, one was estimated at $3 million. These cars still hit the tracks at Goodwood, with Mason's Team 10/10ths keeping them race ready. Now that's what you call old school speed. 1901, Panhard 5-litre. You won't find this car in average collections. This is the oldest car in Nick Mason's garage, and it still drives the 54-mile London to Brighton, run every single November. And the real question it brings is, how far can a 24-horsepower car from 1901 really go? Well, Mason's Panhard 5-litre has been proving people wrong for years. Mason bought the Panhard to take part in the London to Brighton veteran car run, following advice from American car enthusiast Joel Finn. With its royal-looking Roi de Belges coachwork and a giant 5-litre engine, this vintage French machine may be over a century old, but it's far from weak. As Mason puts it, the great thing about the Panhard's 5-litre engine is that the car can tackle a steep hill even when loaded to the gunwales with friends, family, and mechanics. 1927, Bugatti Type 35B. Bugatti Type 35B was once called the world's most successful racing car by Bugatti itself. And it's not just sitting in a garage, unlike his Jaguar. Mason actually bought this one in pieces back in the 1970s, rebuilt it around its original chassis, and raced it in the 1980s. That's how much he loves this machine. It runs on a 2.3-liter supercharged inline-8 engine and could hit 134 miles per hour. Remember, this was the 1920s. Even today, it still fires up, but only after some good old hand pumping to build up fuel pressure. Only a few Type 35Bs exist now, and they sell for crazy money at auctions. But Mason still keeps it running like a beast. 1953, Ferrari 250mm. This Ferrari raced across Mexico in one of the world's toughest rallies. Yep, 1953 Ferrari 250mm once tore through the border-to-border Carrera Panamericana. It was built for speed with a 3.0-liter Colombo 512 engine, pushing out around 240 horsepower. For the early 50s, that was wild. It could hit over 150 miles per hour, which made it one of the fastest cars on the track back then. Only 31 of these were ever made, and today, very few remain in top shape. There's a Spanish phrase on the nose of the car, no hey-dos, which means nothing better. At auctions, a Ferrari 250mm can go for $5 to $7 million depending on its history. The one Mason owns went through 3 full restorations and made the rounds at fancy car shows before he added it to his collection in 2011. 1957, Maserati 250F. This might just be the coolest car and a historic gold in Nick Mason's entire collection. The 1957 Maserati 250F was voted the world's greatest racing car in 2009, and Mason owns one of just 26 ever built. This car ruled the Formula One tracks in the 1950s, driven by legends like Juan Manuel Fangio and Sterling Moss. Yes, the Fangio. It's light, sleek, powerful, and packed into a design that looks fast even when parked. Today, these cars can fetch over $3 million at auctions. Mason actually raced this beast at the Silverstone circuit in the late 1980s. This isn't only for display, since he's kept it running. And when you've got something called the greatest racing car ever, who wouldn't? 1955 Jaguar D-Type. This Jaguar of Mason is worth over £10 million, but unfortunately, it barely leaves his garage. And let me tell you, it isn't just another pretty car. It's a Le Mans winner, 3 years in a row. Mason once called it one of the most beautiful sports racing cars ever built. And one look at its curvy design proves him right. He bought it back in 1976 as part of a trade for a Ferrari 250 GTO. But the Ferrari seller didn't want it, so Mason kept both. Since then, it has barely been raced. In fact, it's only done about 40,000 miles, which is super rare for a car of this age. In its prime, it competed at Daytona and Nassau. Today, it only comes out for events like Goodwood or the occasional sunny drive. If he ever put it up for auction, the bidding would undoubtedly start in 8 figures. Ferrari, LaFerrari Blue Pozzi. While most LaFerrari owners opted for common colors like red, yellow, and black, Nick Mason said no to that. His LaFerrari wears a rare dark blue shade called Blue Pozzi. This is a really special color since Ferrari created it to honor French racer and Ferrari importer Charles Pozzi. The man used to race in this exact blue, and now Mason's LaFerrari keeps that legacy alive. You'll spot this beast with a black roof, silver 5-spoke wheels, and blue brake calipers. Even the tiny aerodynamic fins near the rear diffuser are painted in Blue Pozzi. It has a 6.3-liter V12 engine paired with a hybrid system that pushes out 950 horsepower. It goes from 0 to 62 miles per hour in under 3 seconds and can hit a top speed of over 217 miles per hour. As incredible as this Ferrari is, it isn't the most expensive or exclusive car in Mason's collection. 1996 McLaren F1 GTR. Even one of Mason's youngest cars is now over 25 years old. And yes, this is the same McLaren that was once crashed by him at Goodwood. Only 28 of the GTR versions were ever made, and Mason owns chassis number 10, R. It was McLaren's official press and development car and showed up during testing at the 1996 Le Mans. While it didn't race, it helped prepare the ones that did. Mason later got the car from McLaren's then-boss, Ron Dennis, reportedly in a trade for an Indy car. He had it made street legal by Lanzante, a company known for converting race cars for road use. It even has its own plate, K40MCL, and Mason actually drives it. In 2017, he crashed it into a wall during a parade lap at Goodwood, but the car was fully repaired and made a comeback in 2022. With a V12 engine, over 600 horsepower, and a center driver seat, the F1 GTR was once the world's fastest car, Ferrari 512S. This Ferrari 512S is the exact car that appeared in the 1971 film Le Mans, with Steve McQueen. While most collectors dream of owning a Ferrari, Nick Mason owns the Ferrari that burned on a Hollywood set. During the filming of Le Mans, this 512S was badly damaged in a fire. But Mason didn't just let it rot and brought it back to life. The car was carefully and fully restored to its original condition, keeping every iconic detail intact. What makes it even cooler is that it's not just a Ferrari. It's that Ferrari. The one seen racing at full speed, caught on camera in one of the most legendary car films ever made. Today, it's one of the rarest and most valuable cars in his garage. 1962. Ferrari 250 GTO. Imagine buying a car for just $50,000, and now it's worth over $50 million. That's exactly what Nick Mason did in 1978 when he bought the legendary 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO. Back then, it was just a 16-year-old race car. Today, it's one of the rarest and most valuable cars in the world, with only 36 ever made. But Mason didn't buy it to show off. He said he bought it simply because he liked it, and he doesn't keep it locked away. At events like the Goodwood Revival, he lets fans get up close with no barriers. "There's no point looking at it from a distance," his mechanic Ben once said. "People have got to enjoy these things." The car has an incredible racing history too. It won Le Mans, Sebring, and 3 world championships. Despite its value, Mason still drives it, and is almost as famous for being the owner of this Ferrari as he is for being the drummer in Pink Floyd. He even raced it at the Goodwood Festival of Speed and other tracks. Nick Mason once called his garage a curious muddle of cars. And that muddle also includes a Ferrari Enzo loan to Top Gear, a Porsche 962, and an Alfa Romeo 8C. Which car blew your mind the most? Comment below. And subscribe, because next time we're diving into a collection even rarer than Mason's. You don't want to miss it.